Family that strives for greatness in everything. Being a Longhorn means engaging in STEM education, starting your path to college in elementary, and earning a college degree in high school. Being a Longhorn is a choice to lead, to innovate, to thrive in any setting. Here, you'll discover that learning isn't limited to textbooks. We believe in hands-on experiences that ignite creativity and fuel imagination. As a Longhorn, you have the opportunities to grow beyond the classroom, from the stage to the field. It's a great day to be a Longhorn. And when the time comes to graduate, you'll leave with a sense of accomplishment, knowing that you're prepared for whatever the future holds. The pride of being a Longhorn is something that cannot be described. It's better to experience it and feel it. This is Cedar Hill ISD. We educate, empower, and inspire.
Good evening, parents and guests. My name is Dr. Shamika Milner-Williams, and I am the Assistant Superintendent of Academics in Cedar Hill ISD, and we welcome you this evening to our Digital Parent University, focused on building literacy skills at home for our youngest Longhorns, our littlest Longhorns, and our young readers. We'd like to take a journey with you tonight that shows you just what we do in Cedar Hill as far as literacy is concerned, and how your support and encouragement of your scholars can help us in our endeavors in that area. So one of the goals that we have in Cedar Hill ISD, our student outcome goals made in partnership with the CHISD Board of Trustees, is to establish a system by which all Longhorn scholars are reading at or above grade level by the time they are finished with third grade, and that they maintain their grade level reading status throughout their tenure in Cedar Hill ISD. So we're talking about the beginning of that continuum tonight with our early literacy programs, but reading is a priority for Cedar Hill scholars throughout the time that they're with Cedar Hill. But the foundational pieces that we're going to discuss tonight are what set them on a path for success throughout the rest of their school career. So we're just going to start by talking about the fact that many of you already know and understand that you are your child's first teacher. Literacy actually begins to develop at birth, or really preceding birth, and develops over time after that point. Parents play a pivotal role as their child's first teacher, particularly in the realm of literacy. From the earliest moments of conception, when a child is still in their mom's belly and can hear voices and language being spoken, parents are introducing their children to the wonders of language, even after, through bedtime stories, nursery rhymes, everyday conversations. Initial exposures at home lay the foundation for language development, vocabulary acquisition, and ultimately your scholars' reading and writing skills. The bond also formed during these times shared fosters a love of learning, but also instills the importance of communication and literacy in a child's life from a very early age. As children's primary educators, parents wield a unique power to nurture a lifelong passion of reading and language, and to set the stage for academic success and a rich intellectual journey moving forward. So long before children ever come to school, they're already learning language from you, which is very important to their school success later on. One of the many ways that parents can support in that early literacy develop even before school starts has to do with telling stories and singing songs. These are great ways to develop young children's language skills. So embrace the power of family and cultural traditions as the cornerstone of your child's literacy journey. From the enchantment of storytelling to the rhythm of singing cherished songs in your home, traditions are the bedrock upon which these first skills are built. Your role as a storyteller to your your child, a song weaver, not only imparts language skills, but also preserves and celebrates your unique heritage. In the tapestry of family traditions, you lay the groundwork for a love of words and language that will flourish in your child's heart. So let the tales unfold and the melodies flow, for within these moments is when literacy truly comes alive for students. We try to embed songs and nursery rhymes into our early literacy practice because it's not always about tangible books that help our students grow in language. It's the development of that oral language prior to the written language that helps them to be successful as readers in the future. And so what you see on the screen in front of you is now a chart that shows you the milestones of literacy acquisition and development starting from ages 0 or infancy through 8 years. So we see at the very beginning, when children are still infants, they are having those beginning social interactions, like understanding when a baby smiles and coos at mom. They know when the appropriate times for that. Then the way that mom responds with language and song and those types of things lead into babbling, looking for hidden items. Like we've seen parents hold something over their face and playing peekaboo. Those simple things help the cognitive development and the understanding of oral language and physical language that occurs between a parent and a child, that starts the thought process that allows them to connect those behaviors to words in the future. As they get closer to a year old, we start seeing single words. Hopefully by then children are having access to books to hold in their hands. Moving beyond that, we move towards 2 years old and we're looking at more symbolic play, where children are expected to be pointing at pictures, having a book in their hand and turning the pages, and understanding that we're moving from one page to another and the story goes that way. So we teach that. At home, there are also partnerships in the community that offer opportunities, such as our partnership with the Cedar Hill the Cedar Hill Library System, where they have early childhood times during the week for parents to bring young students, where they can be exposed to text, books, storytelling, and have those types of experiences along with what you're providing them at home. We're going to keep moving up that continuum. When students enter school at about 4 years old, many times they are already naming letters, and that's a very important skill. And I know many parents take a lot of pride in making sure that their children know their ABCs when they come to school. And even some of our students know the sounds that go along with those letters. We're going to talk a little bit later about how we can further develop those sounds and help them really set themselves up to be able to read fully by the time they get to third grade and through our early childhood program. The next thing that parents can do to help support reading development at home is, of course, reading aloud to your child. Like I said, even before children are born, when they are still in the womb, and it is a research fact that around 20 weeks of gestation, uh, infants or fetuses' ears develop and they're able to start hearing the sounds that their parents are making and hearing language from the inside. So it's never too early to start reading books to your young child. Young children whose parents read to them 5 books a day enter kindergarten having heard about 1.4 million words. And that's many more words than children who are not read to. So you're setting your child up for success and starting ahead when you're exposing them to that language that they're getting from books. Even kids who are read only one book a day will hear about 290,000 more words by age 5 than those who don't get regularly read to. So by a parent, a caregiver, even an older sibling can support in reading to young children to help them develop language that might not necessarily be the primary language that we use when we speak at home in our casual language with our family, but it exposes them to academic vocabulary that they will encounter as they enter school. So, what else does research show us about language development and the skills that come from that, and how that helps students become readers? Early language development is the key to unlocking a child's readiness for school. Most children are not walking in the door. We do have some babies that come to us that are already reading, but most students don't come to the door of the schoolhouse already knowing how to read, but they do have a sense of language, whatever that home language is, whether it's English or Spanish or some other language. And those foundational skills of learning the form of language that you speak at home through complete sentences, the vocabulary that's used, is the foundation to developing reading. The foundation for success in academics is laid through a rich tapestry of language woven during the formative years. As children develop strong verbal skills, they enhance their ability to express their thoughts, to comprehend instructions, and to engage with others. Linguistic proficiency forms the cornerstone for literacy, enabling them to grasp reading and writing concepts with ease. So, learning and being strong in the ability to use language orally is what allows students to make the connection between the written language and the spoken language. So just having conversations with your children at home about small things, the TV shows they watch, what they're doing on their tablet, what toys they like to play with, helping them to be able to form thoughts in their own minds to express those thoughts in language. And then when we get to school and when you're reading at home, helping them to make the connection between what is written on the page and the words that we say. Again, there's nothing that I'd like to express more tonight than parents are our child's first teacher at home. And the reality is, as much as we are pushing towards great academic success and our students being strong readers by the time they get to third grade, we know that education is a holistic journey. So you are the teacher that shapes not only their mind but their heart through imparting values, social skills, emotional intelligence. You're laying the groundwork for well-rounded individuals who come to school with the opportunity to learn because they are whole in other ways. So the hard work that you do at home, teaching them values, social skills, tending to their emotional and moral health, we want you to know that that is essential foundational work also that you're doing as first teachers at home that allow us to have students come to school who are ready to receive the more advanced learning that's being provided by their teacher in literacy development. So what should you expect for literacy development in Cedar Hill ISD? Cedar Hill ISD is a part of the Texas Education Agency and the Texas Public School Systems is now focused, next slide please, is now focused on the science of teaching reading. And in Texas schools, the science of teaching reading is a comprehensive approach that aligns with current research and evidence-based practices. It's grounded in what is called the science of teaching and reading, or you'll see sometimes it's used acronym STR, that's science of teaching and reading. Educators emphasize structured literacy, which incorporates phonemic awareness, that's knowing the letters and sounds, phonics, fluency, or the speed at which students are able to recognize words and read, vocabulary, the development of not just knowing words, but knowing what those words mean, which aids in comprehension. And then ultimately, the final goal is comprehension, or being able to take words from the page and make meaning from them. The Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, or our curriculum, ensures a systematic and explicit progress in reading instructions. Parents can expect a balanced approach that addresses the diverse needs of all learners, fostering not only decoding skills, but also a deep understanding and love for reading. Collaborative efforts between educators and parents play a pivotal role in nurturing proficient and enthusiastic readers in the vibrant educational landscape of Texas. So what we're doing at home and what you're doing in partnership with us at school is building a great foundation for our littlest learners to become strong readers. This image that you see ahead of you right now is called Scarborough's reading rope. And this is generally the science behind the science of teaching reading. So when we unravel the reading rope, it's a powerful framework for guiding your child's journey into literacy. It was developed by reading researcher Hollis Scarborough. This is a metaphorical rope that intertwines the two critical strands of reading and language development. It's language comprehension strand and the word recognition strand. So we talked about that early development of oral language. That's that language comprehension piece. And then in school, and sometimes before school, parents are working on this at home. We're working to connect that language and oral development to the word recognition strand that comes together ultimately, and what leads us into skilled reading is what you see at the end. Just like a sturdy rope, these intertwined skills are essential for proficient reading. By understanding Scarborough's reading rope, you can actively support your child's literacy development, ensuring a strong and resilient foundation for a lifelong love of learning and reading. So language comprehension comes from building background knowledge, experiences, things that you're doing socially with your children, like taking them to museums, parks, zoos, those types of things help build background knowledge. So when students encounter words on pages, they have a point of reference to connect it to in their brain. Vocabulary knowledge, the more places and people they're exposed to, the more vocabulary knowledge they'll acquire prior to school. the structures of language. We hear how sentences are made and sounds. And so when teachers start teaching those pieces that build language, the nouns, the verbs, the more that students have and scholars have been exposed to language structures in the home, they're able to put a tag on some of those pieces and make a connection to something that already exists in the brain. Verbal reasoning and literacy knowledge are also parts of language comprehension. Then word recognition has to do with phonological awareness, decoding, and spelling. So when we say decoding, that means being able to take the parts of words and break them apart, spelling patterns and the like, which also helps students to recognize words that they know, but also builds the foundation for them to decode and detect words that they may not know by identifying those specific word parts that they do know and understand. And then there's, of course, sight word recognition. I know many of you have probably already experienced, if your children are already students in Cedar Hill ISD, sight word practices that your teachers are sharing with your students that help them to know words that can't easily be sounded out that they encounter in their reading. And all of these things together intertwine together again to create skilled and fluent execution of word comprehension that leads to text comprehension. So when we talk about early reading, there are stages of emergent reading. And so at the beginning, many parents, and I know you at home, are already aware of letters and sound, the development of understanding sounds and the language in the world around us. This also involves learning not only 26 letters that should be, but also how they can be combined and arranged to create the 44 phonemes in the English language. So many times parents spend a lot of time, like I said, on alphabet, making sure their kids know the alphabet. That is a great start, making sure that they know the letters that go along with those sounds. But in the English language, there are 44 actual sounds that are made by those 26 letters. So when they get to school, we're spending more time breaking down not just what the letters are and the sounds they make, but what are all the sounds that the letters can make and what combinations of letters make different sounds. And so that's where we get into phonic decoding, which is using the combination of letters and awareness of phonemes to be able to put sounds together to create words that make up our language. And then the next step of that in an emergent reader is orthographic mapping. And that's the process that occurs when unfamiliar words become automatic sight words. So the exposure to language, the teaching of the foundational pieces of phonemes and how to put them together, helping students put that puzzle together that is reading. So again, letters versus sound, that's just harping on again that there's 26 letters, but there are 44 phonemes. Those are put together to create the sounds, which are called graphemes. So sometimes when you visit your classrooms in Cedar Hill ISD, you will see something, the typical alphabet that you see across the chalkboard, you often see that. But there are also cards that are on our walls called sound spelling cards that teach the patterns of sounds that go together that make certain sounds. Like one example, we'll say vowel consonant E always makes that vowel a long sound. So on those sound spelling cards, you'll see all the ways that long vowel sounds are made with an A or an E, so that students get a picture of this is a sound that A makes, but these are all the letter combinations that I see that make this specific sound, so that when they get to the page, they're able to decode those sounds. So more tips and tricks for developing lifelong readers with our earliest learners. Of course, first of all, developing a habit of reading. We talked a little bit earlier about the vocabulary development that comes from just simply being read to. It's also very important that your scholar sees you reading, because we all know that children do as they see, not necessarily as they're told. So when they see that parents have a habit of reading, whether it's comic books or magazines or whatever it is that the parent chooses to read, allow your young scholar to see you as a reader, because that'll drive their desire to want to read as well. Number two, when reading to your scholar, use your finder to help you to help them follow along with your reading. So if you're reading a book, tracking with your finger and showing them that connection between what the letters and the words on the page are saying go along with the words and the sounds that are coming out of my mouth. Just helping their brain make the connection between the spoken word and the written language. Number three, asking questions anytime you read to them or they read to you. moving beyond just simple memory questions like what color was her shirt, or asking about the characters and how they developed. Who was that character? What did he do? Why do you think he did that? Helping them to have thoughts and make those connections between the actions that characters take in the story and the real world to help their comprehension and their inferencing skills about what might happen next in a story, making predictions. Number four, work as much on sound identification as on letter identification. Remember, it's not just what sounds one letter makes, but what sounds in total can a letter make. So once we get past A says ah, what other sounds that might you hear when you see an A in language? And when you're reading a book, that's a perfect opportunity to show a child this is a different place or a different sound that an A can make. Number five, practicing rhyming words. Now, rhyming words, of course, they're cutesy, and we love rhyming because that's some of the first language that we've learned. Excuse me. As children, we learn nursery rhymes and we learn those rhyming and sing-songy types of songs. But why is rhyming important? Rhyming is important. It's not just fun, it's a powerful language development tool because it helps little ones recognize and manipulate sounds and helps them to see patterns in language. So it's one of those decoding skills that you wouldn't believe. That's one of the first skills on early literacy tests that children are tested on, is their ability to recognize rhyming words. Because we know that once students can recognize words that rhyme, they can recognize patterns in language, and that's what drives their ability to decode words in the future. So playing those rhyming word games, teaching those nursery rhymes, those are very important things and simple things that parents can do to help aid their students in foundational literacy skills. Number six, playing with vocabulary. What do you think this means, or what other words could you have used? So thinking about the words that we use with our children and varying sentence structure, varying the different words that we use, asking them what other words that they could say instead helps them to understand that words have meaning and multiple words can have similar meanings. And vocabulary and encountering vocabulary is understanding that through comprehension we'll be able to discern what's the best place to use certain words. Number seven, correct and practice incorrect words. Do not let them continue to say words incorrectly and move on. Now, there's a way to do that because we don't want to make students frightened to make mistakes. We want to let them know that making mistakes is also a part of learning. But allowing students to make those errors, but going back and making sure that as soon as we can, we correct those errors in reading and speech so that they don't continue to practice a poor reading or speaking habit. And number eight, most importantly, be diligent but patient. Consistency is key. Just small steps, reading books daily, exposing them to language daily, having conversations daily. We understand that the bulk of the lift with teaching our children how to read falls on the school, and that is our job. We welcome it, we relish it, and we want to do a great job. We just are trying to suggest ways as parents that we could help our little scholars go a little bit farther, a little bit faster, based on the language development things that we're doing to partner with you guys at home. So CHISD teachers are your partners. We're here to share literacy resources and supports that you can use at home. And so if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you have needs in your home regarding how you might better support your own personal child at home, reach out to your child's principal, to your child's teacher, and they can give you further information specifically on assessments that we've done in the school year, and how your child has performed on those assessments and what specific next steps there are for your child beyond the general ideas that we talked about here tonight in their language development. You might also reach out to the academics team. I lead the academics team. We have a great team of educators that support classrooms and campuses from pre-K through 12th grade that would be happy to support you in any way, provide resources, or answer any questions that you might have regarding literacy development in Cedar Hill. And at this time, we'd like to open the floor for questions, comments, or concerns. I'm looking to see if there are any in chat.
We don't have any questions at this time.
Okay. Well, we look forward to seeing you more out onto the campuses. Many campuses have upcoming literacy and star nights early in March or shortly after we get back from spring break. Please also know that our partner, the Cedar Hill Library, will be having some grand opening events upcoming on March 23rd as well as April 6th. Please join us. Cedar Hill will be in the place when the new library opens, supporting our city in that endeavor. That also is a great opportunity for partnership with parents and the school community. So we look forward to seeing you at our campuses, in our school, and in our community as we engage on making Cedar Hill a place where literacy is a priority, both inside school and out. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful evening, and please feel free to reach out to the academics team or your child's campus should you have any further questions. Have a great evening.